Hi everyone, Chris here from IELTSadvantage.com with another success story. So we have one of our VIP students to share her success with you guys so you can learn from her. So Elisa, can you introduce yourself to everyone first?
I'm Elisa from Italy, and I've been living in London for 2 years now, and I struggled to get the score I need to be registered as a midwife here.
Mm-hmm.
So I enrolled in Chris' group to get help to pass the exam.
And why did you need help? What did you struggle with?
To be registered as a midwife here in the UK, I need to get 7 in each part of the IELTS exam.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I took the exam, I managed, well, I passed I got more than 7 in the listening and reading part, but I got only 5 in the reading, in the writing, and maybe 6 in the speaking.
Mm-hmm. And what did you get the last time you did?
Well, the last time I took the test, I finally scored 7 in the writing, 7.5 in the speaking, 8.5 in the reading, and 9 in the listening.
Wow, congratulations. Well done.
Yeah.
And I know you've worked so hard. You were one of the students who was just constantly working and attending every single thing that we did in the VIP group and the Zoom sessions and everything. And that's amazing to go from 5 to 7 and 6 to 7.5. Those are huge improvements. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are just like you that are struggling with speaking, with writing. So we're going to try and help them as much as possible by just talking about how you improved. So let's start off with speaking, because that's the one I think I helped you with the most, or face to face anyway. So what things did you struggle with speaking?
Well, I think at the beginning I didn't actually answer very well to the question.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while I managed to be more straightforward and more confident. At the beginning I felt embarrassed when I was talking with the examiner or with you online. And that of course had a huge influence on my score.
And what would you, if you could say just one or two things to someone who is feeling the same way that you did, what advice would you give them for the speaking test?
Well, I would advise them to try to practice a lot, but it's also the quality of your practice that counts. So I think that it's important to listen to English podcasts or radio, everything, and then try to copy chunks of languages of the language, and that's what I used to do. So I managed to improve my vocabulary, and at the same time I got more ideas about all the topics.
So a lot of people don't realize that to improve their productive skills, their speaking and their writing, you need to sometimes step back and focus on your reading and listening first, because if you want to improve your writing, reading is really going to help you. If you want to improve your speaking, listening is really going to help you, because you get that input of information and then you can practice the productive skills. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure. I think it's the most important thing about the IELTS test is realize your weaknesses, and that's why it took me a lot to pass my score, because at the beginning I had to improve my level of English. Overall, it wasn't good enough to score 7 in each part. And then after that, I struggled with the grammar, so I had to improve the grammar. So there are different levels you have to work on.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to be willing to work hard. And that's good. I mean, I spent so long working on the IELTS test, but now I'm aware that my English is better than before, and I'm more confident.
Yeah, because you always had a great attitude. You were very humble, and you were very open to criticism. Not criticism like criticizing you, but you always wanted to know what your weaknesses were, and you never seem to get frustrated when I gave you feedback. You always seem to take it in a positive way of like, okay, now I need to focus on this area of grammar, or now I need to focus on this. And you showed up week after week after week and I'm sure there were times when you got frustrated and felt like giving up, but you did continue to work hard. And you were very, very consistent. And you really hit the nail on the head by saying, figure out your weaknesses and turn each of those weaknesses into strengths, and just keep going up and up and up. And that's exactly what you did. And to go from 6 to 7.5 in speaking is huge. Any other advice that you would give to someone who's struggling with speaking?
I think it helped me a lot to attend like language exchange. I went to I normally go to Central London. There are different language exchange, and there I normally speak with a lot of people from different backgrounds, and try to improve my English and at the same time enjoy myself.
Yeah, because if you're getting a band, let's say you're getting a band 5 to 6 for speaking or writing, you're not going to jump from 5 or 6 to 7.5 by just learning about IELTS. You do need to improve your general English as well, because at the end of the day, it is an English test. There are certain strategies and things that you need to be aware of when it comes to IELTS, but there's no tricks. there's no shortcuts. You do need to improve your general English, and often I say to students, improve your general English first, and then come to me, and then I can help you with the IELTS test. But it is important that you get to a certain level of English, and I'm sure you're very happy now you're living in London, that your English is great, and you can. It leads to a more fulfilling social life and work life and everything, because it's so much easier. Like I couldn't move to Italy and just have a normal life in Italy because I don't speak Italian. But sure, well, I'd love to learn, but maybe someday. So let's move on to writing. So writing is always something that a lot of people struggle with. A lot of nurses like yourself get frustrated with the writing part. What did you struggle with in particular?
Well, at the beginning, my writing was overall not very good. So at the beginning, I tried to improve my English overall, but I didn't have a proper structure. So only when I finally enrolled in your course, I understood the way I should organize my ideas and the structure of my essays. So I'm just talking about task 2 because I never had any problems with task 1. I think task 1 for me was very easy. I just had to describe a graph and I found it very easy because I love math.
Some people are like that. Some people love task 2 and hate task 1, and some people love task 1 and hate task 2. So that's good for you. Yeah,
so I'm a very logical thinker, and task 2 for me was messy. I didn't find a way how I would start to. Even my ideas at the beginning, I just did brainstormings, and that would take me so long because I would focus on many ideas, and then it didn't make any sense. So, and then when I found a good structure, good idea, I worked hard on my grammar, and I found out that I always make the same mistakes. So, and after a while, I realized that at the end I need to check only the same things, and that make everything easy. And then what else? The last thing that I had to improve was the way I was explaining my ideas. I didn't use. I think sometimes I get confused to explain my idea, and I had to put in a lot of effort to explain everything clearly, because I always think that the other people would understand me, but that wasn't the case. My ideas were confused. And another thing that I found very difficult was the way I writing. That was totally different from the way I speak. And that will take me, because writing will take me longer than everything else. And I will write in a very formal way. And when I realized that that wasn't really helpful to me, I managed to write better, like quicker, and I would have enough time to check my essay.
You had a massive improvement in your writing. I actually showed it to, I didn't show your name or anything, but I took your name off and I showed it to a group of people I was talking to. And I said, this is the improvement that one of my students, and they were very impressed by how clear everything was. So I was showing it to a group of students who thought that you have to use complicated ideas, complicated vocabulary, really complex grammar and everything. And I said, no, this is a student who just got a 7. And they were all like, oh, how did she get a 7? It's so clear. It's so easy to understand. I was like, yes, that's what you're supposed to do. Everything is supposed to be very clear and easy to understand. Let me just go back to some of the things you said about writing. You said something really interesting about that you only had to check the things that you check your weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge because number one, you're going to be under pressure with time in the test. So it was really useful for you that you knew the mistakes that you normally make. So you were fully aware of that. So in the test, you didn't have to check everything. You were really focused on your weaknesses, and that's massive. So getting that help from someone, it doesn't have to be me. It can be someone else who knows what they're doing, but getting that help to illuminate, shine a light on your mistakes and your common weaknesses is really, really important. So that's great. And it's really important that people know that, because often people are completely in the dark. They're getting 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, and they've no idea why it is. So it's really powerful when you do find out the exact reasons. The other thing that you said, and one thing that you're really good at, is you empathize with the reader. You put yourself in the reader's shoes and try and think about how the reader will understand your writing. Whereas other people just write and show off their vocabulary, show off their grammar, try and create these crazy structures. Whereas I think at the end, when I was looking at your writing, it was very clear that you were just thinking, how can I clearly communicate with the examiner? How can I make the examiner just understand what I think about the question? Is that, am I assuming, or is that correct?
Yeah, it took me a while because I've never been able to explain my idea clearly to support my ideas. But then your advice and your lesson gave me what really, really, I took a lot from your lesson, especially because as a lawyer, you get used to support your ideas. And so I copy your ideas, I try to think like you. And finally did it.
But you were very, very good at that at the end. I mean, because Elisa on a at least a weekly basis would be submitting her writing in the VIP group, and at the end, I think the last month or so, the only comment that I would put below yours was excellent, well done. That nothing wrong with it really. So yes, and those are simple things to do. Find out your weaknesses, focus on clearly communicating with the examiner. Forget about using doing anything fancy or overcomplicated. Keep it simple, as I keep saying. You've probably heard me say that 1,000 times in the VIP group. So any last minute advice you would give to someone if they were in the same
position? Don't give up, honestly. Just every time, because it took me a lot, and I taken the exam so many times, and for the last, except the last 2 times when I get 5 and 6 in the writing, then I kept scoring 6.5. And then that point I had to think deeply about my writings and what was wrong with it. And that was difficult, especially at the beginning. It was quite easy to understand why I didn't get to score in it, but at the end I couldn't work it out by myself. So I needed your help and Susan's help as well. Need a lot of help at the end, because for me I was almost there and I couldn't get 7
And
anyway.
it's really it's even more difficult to get when you need a 7. It's even more difficult to get to accept a 6.5 than a 5, because if you get a 5, you're like, well, I've got a lot of work to do, there's a lot of things wrong. But if you get 6.5, the temptation is just to give up and be like, I hate this, I'm never going to get there. And it's the easy thing to do is to give up, or an easy thing to do is to blame the test, or blame the British Council, or blame your teacher. The really difficult thing to do is to do what you did, and be like, okay, I'm nearly there, but I need to figure out why I got 6.5 and what to do to improve. So, I have a lot of admiration for students like you, because it's not an easy thing to do, to admit that you're not quite there. But the thing, I talk about mindset a lot in the VIP group, but is to always think about yet. I'm not there yet. Because if you don't think like that, if you get a 6.5, you'll give up, and you could be, have to move back to Italy, and, and your life could be completely different in 5 years' time compared to what it will be like now. That, hopefully you'll get a job as a midwife in London, and I'm sure you will.
Soon.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Elisa, for sharing that, and thanks for joining me on a Saturday. I'm sure that there's better things you could be doing on a Saturday. It's a shame to lose you from the VIP group, because you're always very positive and contributing and everything. So, but thank you very much for making this video.
Thank you for everything, Chris. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Bye-bye.